For this soccer defending 101 video, remember the letters P-A-T that spell PAT. P-A-T stands for patience, angled toes. Good attackers know to use the self-pass if you reach in to steal the ball. Patience is important for a defender because you don't want to be constantly diving in. Therefore, you must be patient when learning how to play better defense in soccer for two reasons. Slowing the speed of play. This allows the other defenders and midfielders to get back into their defensive shape. Also, you want to wait for a great opportunity for when lunging in to try to steal the ball or at least poke it away. Now, the one time you should avoid being patient is when the attacker turns their back on the direction in which they need to score. In these instances, drive your forearm into their backside in order to apply a ton of pressure as one of the soccer defending basics. An attacker is much more effective dribbling at you full speed versus having their back turned to you and facing you. Next, A stands for angled. You want to be angled both in your approach and in your stance when going up against an attacker for your soccer defending positioning. When approaching the attacker, you should have an angled run. Running directly at them will make it very easy for them to go in any direction that they please. Instead, come in at an angle, forcing them in the direction that you want them to travel. For another one of the soccer defending tips is you never want to square your hips, also known as pointing your hips, because it will allow them to go to your left side, between your legs, and to your right side. If your feet were hands on a clock, they would be positioned at either 10 and 4, as shown in the first image, or 8 and 2, as shown in the second image. And essentially 10 and 4 and 8 and 2 just means have your positioning diagonal in your stance. Standing at 10 and 4 will push them to their left foot, and standing at 8 and 2 will push them to their right foot. Keep in mind that standing directly in front of them and just turning your hips will not push them in the direction that you're hoping to push them. If they attack in the direction that you are pushing them, then your positioning will make it easier to reach in and poke the ball away, or to at least pursue with them in order to try to steal it. The next one of the soccer defending tips is that T stands for toes, and could you give this video a like? As a defender, you must be on your toes because you don't want to be caught standing still. You should be in a quarter squat stance where you're bent at both the knees and the hips. Being on your toes will allow you to accelerate faster if the attacker tries to push by you in either direction. Good attacking soccer players try to do three things. Number 1, use a foot skill. Number 2, attack with speed. Number 3, use their dominant foot to shoot. Therefore, as a defender, you should try to prevent them from even receiving any passes so you don't have to worry about them doing a foot skill. If they do receive the ball, watch out for a foot skill by watching their hips and remain in that quarter squat stance slightly off-centered to them. If they successfully perform a foot skill and push the ball by you, make sure to get your arm or arms a bit out in front of you and out in front of them so that you can try to use them to try to push them off so that you can get to the ball first as they push it by you. You should be handsy but not grabby when trying to extend your arm out in front of them in order to slow them down. Referees generally only make a call when you have your hands grabbing them but not when your hands are on them. By the way, I'm Dylan Joseph, trainer and #1 best-selling Amazon author. Also, in a soccer defending 1v1 situation, if they're gonna shoot, make sure you try to make it so that they are shooting with their opposite foot. For your soccer defensive positioning, assume everyone is right-footed until they prove you otherwise. In a 1v1, the direction in which you push them on the soccer field is determined by their positioning relative to the end lines. If you're in the middle of the field, then you should push the attacker to their weaker foot. When you are along a sideline during a 1v1, you should position your body in a way that will push them out of bounds and towards the sideline. Notice in the image that the defender is slightly to the attacker's right side, which will often force the attacker to their left. Or avoid missing out on preventing the other team from scoring by grabbing the book I've written on soccer defending using the link.